The newest healer coming to Watcher of Realms is Eirlys right here, and she is shockingly good, but very difficult to control. There is a lot to unpack in this video. She's got a brand new kit. Obviously, she's a brand new hero. There is some never before seen stuff here. She is a very unique, very overpowered, very unruly signature mechanic called Serene Breath that we're going to have to dive deep into. I've done a lot of testing. She is exceptionally good. I will be doing a very surprising demonstration for you guys. And of course, I will fully break down her entire kit, her talent, her awakenings, everything you need to know in anticipation of her arriving in the game and coming on a brand new banner this coming Friday. So guys, this is going to be Eirlys. There is a lot to discuss. Let's get into it.
Fastidious.
Fastidious.
All right, let's start with who this character is. I'm calling her Eirlys. I think the other option would be Eirlys. That sounds too much like Eris. Maybe we could also call her Eirlys or Eirlys. Eirlys is what it seemed to be to me when I looked up her pronunciation online, so that's what I'm going with. If you know 100% for certain I'm wrong, let me know below. Otherwise, be quiet. Let's begin. So, Eirlys has a very unique kit, and let's start with the strongest part of her kit, but also the most confusing, her second passive. So, for the second time in the history of Watcher of Realms, we have a unit that applies map-wide global passive rage regeneration. There are a lot of qualifiers there, but basically, she now ties and in certain ways surpasses Elwyn as the #1 rage regeneration unit in this entire game. If you don't know what rage is, this is the cost you have to acquire to max out your ultimate and thus cast it. Getting a lot of rage as quickly as possible is absolutely essential in this game, and she provides the best global rage regeneration possible. So if we go to Elwyn, you can see with Elwyn's second passive, Nature's Favor, she applies rage regeneration to all allies on the battlefield every 3 seconds. This comes out to 3% rage every 3 seconds. So effectively, it is 1% rage every second, and it refreshes every 3 seconds. It is 1% rage for every single unit deployed, regardless of how close they are to Elwyn. It has nothing to do with her specific range. If they're deployed and Elwyn is deployed, they are getting, when this skill, Nature's Favor, is maxed, 1% rage per second, full stop. And it is phenomenally strong. It is part of the reason Elwyn is the goddess of this game. Yes, Eirlys will exceed this, but you'll see the rest of her kit is kind of different in a lot of ways. A lot of the signature Elwyn things outside of her best skill, Nature's Favor, and to be fair, it's her best skill, and Eirlys beats it, but outside of that, their kits actually are very different. If we go to Eirlys' second passive, you'll see Hymn of Prayer while this hero is on the field. All allies recover an additional 1% rage per second. This is identical to Elwyn. It is equally strong. It is phenomenal. This, however, is the baseline Eirlys sets. It does get better. Her signature mechanic is called Serene Breath, and it is very confusing. To start, the basics. Up to 2 allies at a time can be under her buff, her signature effect, Serene Breath. And when they are, on top of other benefits we will discuss, they additionally have the rage regeneration she is lending them doubled. It goes from 1% per second to 2% per second. This makes her rage regeneration the strongest in the entire game, and it is permanent and passive so long as allies are under Serene Breath. As soon as that Serene Breath leaves them, it goes back down to 1%. Now, what do I mean by leaves them? This is a signature effect or buff, a mark, however you want to think about it, that actually bounces around. And that was not clear to me at all when first reviewing her kit and when first preparing for this video. I had to jump in to multiple pieces of content to test this out, to figure out exactly how it works. So if you appreciate that, make sure you subscribe to the channel. I think it's going to blow your mind. Now that I've seen it, it does make sense, but it absolutely blew my mind because controlling Serene Breath is like trying to control a wild bull or something. You cannot do it. You really can't. Unless there's content where you know only 2 units are taking damage, you are in trouble. So before I show you the demonstration where you're going to maybe have your mind blown as to how Serene Breath works and how weird it is, we have to understand her talent and then what Serene Breath is. So Eirlys' talent. When healing allies, Eirlys applies Serene Breath to those allies and grants them physical damage reduction and magic damage reduction if they're under Serene Breath. Kind of redundant there, but basically, she puts out Serene Breath. It is a signature mark that has its own effect, inspires this increased rage regeneration effect, and on top of that, gives the wearer magic and physical damage vulnerability, and it is very strong at 25%, tying for the strongest normal damage reduction in the game. We have stronger in the form of AoE damage reduction and final damage reduction, but for normal physical and magic damage reduction, 25% is the highest we see, and 25% is what she delivers. However, if she's healing allies and she's putting them under Serene Breath, how does Serene Breath work? Well, most importantly, only up to 2 allies at a time can have Serene Breath when they're deployed on the battlefield. So this is a buff, this is a mark that can only be held by 2 allies at a time. When they do have Serene Breath, though, whenever Eirlys heals them, she will provide an extra 30% healing bonus. That is so much. So you get a healing bonus, you get 25% physical and magic damage vulnerability, and you're getting 2%, not 1% rage regeneration per second. So I know a lot of you might be getting ahead of me here and thinking, oh my God, how can I control who this Serene Breath lands on so that it's on the units that I need staying alive the most, getting rage the most, both, whatever. There's a lot of ways you could think about wanting to manipulate this and take advantage. However, that is so much easier said than done, as you're about to see. The final thing, just to wrap up the talent, and then we will begin the demonstration. On top of all the benefits she gives to allies under Serene Breath, when she personally heals the ally under Serene Breath, she has 2% of her rage restored. And that's pretty clutch. We're not going to get into the ultimate now, but I will mention it is very low cost at 500. It is very unique, and it is very, very powerful. Okay, let's begin the demonstration as to how Serene Breath works and how and why it moves around. So I'm going to tell you, what I was hoping to see is that Serene Breath always went on the units with the highest base HP, or the highest max HP, or the highest base attack, or the highest max attack, or the first 2 units she heals and then it stays there. But none of that is true. It is so much wackier than that. So ignore this team. It does not matter. I just wanted to find a piece of content where we're taking damage a lot, so she's going to be healing a lot. I chose Nightmare 4. Everyone here is quick equipped. This is not anything meta or not meta. It's just random units that I could deploy in her range, and they're all going to take damage. So let's set up our demonstration. Let's head into battle. I haven't mentioned it yet, but Eirlys has a very standard range of a 3x4 rectangle where she sits at the back or sits at a side. However you want to think about that, you'll see that very clearly there. Let's already actually put her down because nothing here matters. I'm just testing this all out, and let's make sure everyone is in her range, right? So let's just place her here. Nothing else matters. This is not a real run. We're not going to be in here that long. And let's just make sure everyone is in her range. Everyone's targeting the boss. I don't really care. Let's switch Diao Chan to black mode. So now Diao Chan is not giving damage reductions, right? We switched her to the DPS support mode. She's giving inspiration, she's giving penetration, stuff like that. And let's get all our fighters down. All right, so this is a theoretical setup, all right? We're gonna wait until the lingering effect of Diao Chan's first form, because she gets that little crossover as she goes from white to black, and then after a cooldown black to white, you can see it's gone. No one here is getting damage reductions. Here comes the first bit of damage. So it's the first opportunity for Eirlys to put out some heals. Let's see what happens. It is very weird. Here comes a big AoE. Everyone takes damage, but Eirlys is a single target healer, right? There are ways with Awakenings you can get a little bit more than single target, but you'll see. We're getting all different kinds of heals. So what is going to go on? Let's click through everyone and see who has Serene Breath. The only way to see it is who is wearing a damage reduction. And the only reason that's the way we can visibly see it right now is I've turned off all other damage reduction. We have one other unit who could provide it, Diao Chan, but that's when she's in white mode. I've put her in black mode. Let's see what's going on. Is anyone getting it right now? Looks like none. Let's click on her. She needs to be getting heals out. Very strange. Let's wait till she gets some heals. Okay, looks like she just went over here to Kagiri, or was it Wukong, or was it there? Someone should have it by now. There we go. So Lord Phineas currently is under damage reduction, but now it's gone. Why is it gone? It's because she went and healed someone else. Only 2 units can be under Serene Breath and thus the reductions and everything else that comes with it at a time, and it's constantly switching with a slight delay as she goes and heals new units. So now you can see it's on Diao Chan. Let's keep clicking around and seeing. It is left Phineas. Is it on her? Where's the second one? Very hard to find it. There's always the delay when it switches. So it's on Diao Chan. Let's wait a minute. Let's take some more damage and let's see. She just healed herself. So let's wait. Now she has it. So one other unit has it. Can I click through fast enough? Maybe yes, maybe no. There, and Soul Cadence has it. So the way it works is, if you haven't caught on yet, and I don't blame you if you haven't caught on because it's outrageous, is Serene Breath constantly, with some delay, jumps from unit to unit as she heals everybody. And the way it progresses is, the first unit she heals gets it, the next unit gets it, then the third unit she heals, if it's different than the first two units, gets it, and the first unit she heals loses it. So let's say she healed ally 1, then ally 2, then ally 3. She'd heal ally 1, there's a short delay, now ally 1 has Serene Breath. She heals ally 2, there's a short delay, now ally 2 has Serene Breath. Then she heals ally 3, and now ally 1 loses their Serene Breath. It goes to ally 3 because only 2 units can have it at a time. So what is the end result? Does she bring tremendous rage regeneration as a baseline? Absolutely, 1% per second for everyone. Can you control who's getting the 2%? No. At least in a lot of content, you cannot. Sure, there can be content where you know, like your tank or whoever is taking single target damage in non-AoE content, you know it will be them. There will be content where you can control it, but for boss content and the places a lot of your heads probably naturally went, it is beyond difficult. And there is this little delay, as you could see, as I click around hunting for who has it at a certain time. It's always jumping, and there's always this brief respite. So now it's on Ingrid, and I'm guessing Eirlys or Diao Chan. You can't even keep up with it. And Neza. So this is what it looks like, right? This is what we're looking for, the reductions, and that's the signifier that they have Serene Breath. It is constantly moving. It is super strong, but is super uncontained. So yes, it's amazing that at all times, without the delay, not counting the periods of delays as it moves, at all times, we are getting pretty fantastic increased rage regeneration for 2 allies at a time. And they're getting excellent reductions. And they're getting boosted healing when they're healed by Eirlys. And all these other things. However, we never know who's going to have it, basically. In AoE content, at least. Of course, there's going to be certain content where you can control it. But if you're thinking, oh my god, she's going to be perfect for Abyss 1, or she's going to be perfect for this Semra thing I want to do, or this, that, and the other, on the whole, she will not be. There'll be single target moments where you can know what's going to happen, but in general, it's kind of random. You get hit with a big AoE, and then you see, where did she just go to heal? Where did it go, right? Okay, now it's on Kagiri. So Kagiri gets all that improved stuff. Now is that Ingrid that just got it? Now Ingrid has it. And does Kagiri still have it? No, Kagiri lost it. So in that time, it went to someone else. I know I sound hectic, but that's because it is hectic, and I want to show you that this is how it feels, trying to control what's going on and have a good sense of what's going on. So you're going to see as I break down the rest of her kit right now, it is super duper strong and you should be really happy with it. However, Serene Breath is the strongest part about it, and it is, for a lot of content, impossible to get a hold of. The baseline rage regeneration is phenomenal. It ties Eluin. Everything else she does is really good. The single target delayed heals that I'm going to show you right now as we go into the kit are remarkable, but all in all, she's weird. So there's going to be content she's overpowered for. I'm going to give my prediction right now. I was just talking to Behemoth about this. I think she's going to be phenomenal for Zerbis. Yes, it's AoE content, but a lot of the time he's dealing single target to your tank. That should be pretty well controlled, especially with her ultimate. But for a lot of things, I think she's potentially quite the headache or quite the difficult nut to crack. The last thing I want you to see here is you see this flower going around Neza. Let's see if we can get another flower in a second. Let's wait for her to ult. Someone else should have a flower right now. Yeah, now we've got a flower around Diao Chan. This is the effect caused by her ultimate. So I wanted to point that out so you could see it. Her ultimate is really cool. It is really unique. And that is where I want to pick up this breakdown as we get into the second half of the video. This is our A0 Eirlys. Everything is at max skills. We've gone through the talent, the power of Serene Breath, and everything that comes with it, and also the confusion. But now let's see the rest of her kit. So starting with the ultimate, you saw that kind of luminescent blue flower circling some of our units. What is that? Well, that is the special effect she applies with her ultimate, and it is called Healing Prayer. Healing Prayer is very cool and very weird. You can see it getting applied there to Valderon in this little demo right under me. You see the blue flower above him. What does it do? Well, she applies Healing Prayer to one ally with the lowest HP percentage in range. That at least is something we can wrap our head around. That's something you can see coming. That is something that's somewhat controllable or at least predictable. What does the flower do? What does the mark do? Well, when the bear's HP drops below 75%, so 75% of their health bar, immediately it will restore HP equal to 400% of the caster's attack, and it removes this effect. So it's going to scale off of Eirlys' attack. We'll go through all her stats after we finish the skills here, but it is a very good, very bursty heal. And the best part is this mark, this Healing Prayer will last until you need it. Do not be thrown off by these 10 seconds. These 10 seconds are not the duration that the Healing Prayer buff lasts on her. It is the duration you must wait for the residual effect to occur after Healing Prayer has been triggered. So until the wearer's HP drops below 75%, they will hold this flower. This is important because a lot of units can have this at a time. It is very low cost. She can really spread these out. So you will see here, this effect is only removed once the HP drops below 75% and you trigger that big bursty heal. When the effect duration naturally ends or is refreshed, how is it refreshed? She goes and replaces a Healing Prayer on a unit. So after it is triggered, when it naturally ends or it is refreshed, what do I mean by refreshed? She, in those next 10 seconds, places the flower back on her ally. She places the Healing Prayer mark, the Healing Prayer buff back on them. After the healing effect is triggered and one of those two things happens, you wait 10 seconds or the buff is reapplied. Then there will be an additional heal. HP will be restored again, this time equal to 200% of the caster's attack, and that will be applied to the bearer of the buff, who's ever wearing the Healing Prayer. So it is really good healing, and it's really healing when you need it most. That is very clutch. I do wish it was a little lower cost, but all in all, I do think this kind of healing and the uniqueness of it with the Healing Prayer stands to be very powerful in a lot of content. Let's break down the other things now. We've gone over the ultimate, the talent, and the passive. We've got the basic skill here. She applies 120% attack-based healing to one ally in range, incredibly standard for an attack-based healer. And then the first passive, this is also incredibly unique. So you can see, outside of this second passive and Elowen's second passive, they do not have much alike, but the other things that are dissimilar to Elowen are unique and very strong. So the first passive here, Sanctuary of Light, one ally in attack range can be immune to one instance of fatal damage. If the ally triggering this effect is with Serene Breath, they also gain immunity to all damage for 5 seconds. This effect can be triggered at most one time every 50 seconds. So effectively, it is a death save, and if whomever is saved by this effect, by this passive, is also under Serene Breath at the time, they get some damage immunity. Of course, it is very, very hard to know if this ally will be under Serene Breath at the same time. In certain content, if you're an ally about to die, it's very likely you're one of the 2 last allies to be healed by Eirlys, so probably you will get the damage mitigation, but once again, there's some wackiness to it. There is some randomness. So let's get into stats, but I want to shout out one thing. In content where there's lots of single target or you don't have many units getting hit at the same time, especially content where you have fewer allies, maybe you see where I'm going with this, she's going to be so stupid good. So what am I talking about? PvP, right? If there's only 1 unit tanking and taking damage or 2 units tanking and taking damage, those are the ones that will be under Serene Breath basically all the time until that changes. So they're going to get all the incredible benefits. And this will lead to some excellent gameplay for her, whether that be in Arena or GVG. So if you're a PvPer, she's about as promising a non-ancient exclusive unit we have had come to the game in a minute. Let's get into those stats and we'll wrap it up with Awakenings. These stats are pretty darn good. Her base attack is over 5,500. This is very high. You can get really, really high levels of attack and thus high levels of healing out of her. Her base HP is not bad, but is nothing special at 11k. If we continue on, she's very standard at 18 costs for a single target healer with a 3x4 range. Her attack interval is pretty good at 2.5 seconds. It's not particularly fast, though it is on the faster side. We like to see that. And everything else, very standard. Rage Regen auto at 15. Very standard for a healer. Rage Regen based off of her basic attack, which in this case are her heals, is at 9. She is fairly solid across the board in all stats, and then in a couple key stats like attack speed and attack, she is very, very strong. Finally, her awakenings. Some of these are pretty complicated, but all in all, she does not need awakenings. They are good, but she does not need them. It really will depend on the content. I do think an A3 Eirlys would be super duper strong in GVG, also have some play in Arena, but I think for most PvE content, because of the randomness, because of AoE, because of the quantity of allies you're bringing into battles, I don't think it's so essential to have awakenings in her compared to other units, something like an A1 Narissa, right? She is not to that level with awakenings for PvE content. If we look, though, at the A1, you will see this is a boost to both her ultimate and her basic attacks, her basic heals, starting with the ultimate, now direct healing from basic attacks and healing prayer. So this is any direct healing from the basic attack over here or the healing prayer provided by the ultimate. Will apply one additional instance of 15% healing to all allies with Serene Breath. Again, it will be random who has the Serene Breath in certain content, but in some content, you can think of it right away, like Arena, like GVG, gonna be really good. Certain PvE content, very, very nice. But for bosses, kind of freaking random. All in all, though, it will lead to more healing. And that's pretty good. This 15%, I don't know what 15% healing means. Is that 15% of her attack-based healing? Is that 15% scaling off of her base multiplier? Oh, I don't know. It's probably just like 15% more scaling off of maybe what the other heal was. I can't tell you. It's more healing. It's pretty good. The A2 plus 8 healing effect, a total wash, could not care less. There's a soft cap with healing effect at 100. 8 is nothing. It is so easy to get 100 in so many different ways. This is a waste of an A2. The A3, though, is quite good. When Healing Prayer triggers, when the bear's HP drops below 75%, it's going to grant damage increase to all allies with Serene Breath. So again, for certain content where you know where Serene Breath is, this is good, like GVG. For other content, I think it's pretty wacky, because at a certain moment when a Healing Prayer instance is triggered, the Serene Breath could be on her and a tank, or her and Diao Chan. Does not matter at all, right? So I wish this was all allies in range. Maybe that'd be a little OP. I think it'd be awesome. But for certain content, this is cool. For other content, it is pretty random. All in all, for a longer battle, this is going to help you. How much? Going to be a lot of RNG, at least for boss fights. You can see, though, the damage increase is crazy. Plus 50% damage, and it lasts 10 seconds. But once again, this is dependent upon who has Serene Breath at the time. Those are the units that will receive the damage increase of a whopping 50%. When Healing Prayer triggers healing upon its natural expiration, that is 10 seconds after Healing Prayer is initially triggered, or it is refreshed, aka Healing Prayer is reapplied from the ultimate to the same unit, damage increase, once again, will be applied to all the allies with Serene Breath. In this instance, it's plus 30%, not plus 50%. Again, it still lasts 10 seconds. Again, if you can control it or it lines up well, it is very good. The A4 now, again, wildly underwhelming. Rage regen auto plus 1. That is one more tick of rage per second. I don't really care. That does not move the needle at all. It takes her from like 15 to 16. Really, you won't feel any difference. And then finally, the A5, very funky. When Sanctuary of Light, this is the passive that has the death save along with the potential for the damage immunity for 5 seconds. When this is triggered, it will reduce the hero's attack interval by 35% for 15 seconds. Now, at first, I thought this was much weaker than it actually is. I thought it was the hero that is having Sanctuary of Light triggered upon. No, this attack interval reduction is always applied to Eirlys, and this is huge. Having her attack interval reduced by 35% for 15 seconds when this is triggered, and this is triggered up to once every 50 seconds, is kind of crazy. There is RNG and randomness and annoying things to when it is triggered, but when you finally do trigger it, her basic attacks, her basic heals will be coming in like crazy. So if we look at the build I've put on her now, I didn't really think anything about this. I just did quick equip. She is very fast at plus 473 additional attack speed, 573 total. But we can look at the attack interval, and she's down to 1.2 seconds. Take off a third of this, take off 35%. Her attack interval is transformed into 0.8 seconds for the next 15 seconds. That is so many more heals. That is going to build her a lot more rage. That is very, very good. So in conclusion, Eirlys is very unique. She also matches and then exceeds Eloin's best ability, her second passive. All in all, if you can afford it, go try to pick her up. If you have extra savings, if you want to spend a lot, she is an excellent candidate for pity manipulation since she's overlapping with the Diao Chan banner. If you have the summons to be able to pity manipulate, you should go ahead and do it. That is what I'm doing, but exactly how good she will be, especially in non-PvP content, in AoE content, and most importantly, the hardest boss content in the game, that is TBD. I think she's got a lot of potential in the newest guild boss, Xerbis, even though that's AoE, because she can hyper-focus for long parts of the battle on the tank who needs the most help, and this is undeniable. Whether you have Element or not, this is just such a good skill. If you're into PvP, I think she's probably a must go for. If you're not, I think she's just a very nice for the time being. That all being said, the kit has so much potential. If you can go for her, you should go for her. Thank you so much for watching. I have been Fastidious. This video took a ton of work, so if you made it to the end, please consider subscribing to the channel, share with your mother, and I'll see you real soon. Bye.
Fastidious.